This camera costs around $10,000 and doesn't even have a screen. Not in 2005, but in 2025. No LCD, no menus, no red dot, just a shutter. So how does it feel as someone who lives and breathes film photography? And would I actually sell my car to get one? This episode is brought to you by the Outdoor Photography Guide. All right, confession time. I love technology. I always have. Ever since I got my hands on this bad boy, a Sony Handycam. I've chased every new camera, I've looked at all the spec sheets, and even peeped at a megapixel or two. But as you might have gathered, somewhere along the way, I fell in love with the other side, the slower side, the film photography side, where everything smells like fixer and light leaks. So what happens when Leica tries a digital cosplay of a film camera? Can this high-end, no-screen diva actually make me feel something? So I took this bad boy out for a few photo sessions, and let me just say that the results are not exactly what I expected. So I'm sure you know the camera that I'm talking about is the Leica M11-D, Leica's third generation of digital M cameras without a screen. The three in question, the original MD in 2016, the M10D in 2018, and now the M11 Delicious. But the MD moniker actually has a long history dating back to the 60s. But back then, the MD was actually lacking a viewfinder and rangefinder combo. So really, Leica has always loved to take away the most useful features from their cameras and charge a little extra for the lack of them. Some things never change. But do go check out my episode on the MDA because that camera is actually a lot of fun to use and is cheaper than normal rangefinder Leica. Now, the key to shooting this digital camera, like a film camera, is of course the location. So one sunset evening, I decided to drive 1 mile and 3 hours later down the street. The thing that I noticed right away was how light this camera was overall. I couldn't believe it either. And being that it's a rangefinder, I did quite feel right at home. Well, this is the shot that I came here for. And this is also the shot that really drove home the fact that shooting this camera can give you those film shooting vibes because the shot is out of focus, just like it would have been if I shot my M6. Lucky me? So honestly, if you're in the market to buy this camera, you aren't buying it for specs. That's not what we're here about. But, well, we are here, I'll just tell you about the main ones. This camera boasts a tri-resolution 60 megapixel sensor sandwich. Whatever. It has the new content credentials, so you know people aren't lying about taking photos, and the last and most important of the specs, sex appeal. Yeah, that's right. But I don't know if I care if it can shoot the moon and see all the detail in the world. I just want it to make me feel something as I shoot it. That's hard for digital cameras to do, for me. Now going back to that size factor for a moment, I realized when shooting it that it was actually a bit lighter than my M6. And I never really thought that my M6 was all that heavy of a camera. Today, I decided to shoot my trusty 35mm Color Skopar and a newly acquired 50mm light lens lab lens. which, might I add, is a very handsome lens as well. But I also decided to add a little bit of secret sauce to my Voigtlander images, an 85B filter. It's a warming filter usually used for tungsten films, but I like warmth. Now, you could probably just use the temp slider at the end of the day, but this is a bit faster and I actually really like the results. Now, with this camera that has a higher megapixel count than my IQ, you can really get some awesome shots. And where it totally shines is the ability to crop in and still maintain crazy resolution. The crop 100% makes it a better photo, and it is still sharp, baby. Overall, I'm a fan of these shots. They look really nice, but the sun was doing a lot of the work here. But nothing made me more happier than seeing this beautiful rocket on the side of the road. This red vehicle was just stunning. And this is also where I tried a few different color vibes for my color correction. Overall, the punchier, less warm version, I think, is my select. But before we jump back into shooting some fine-grained megapixels, a quick thanks to Outdoor Photography Guide for sponsoring this video. Outdoor Photography Guide is a go-to online resource for all things outdoor photography. With a massive library of videos covering landscapes, wildlife, macro photography, compositions, gear, and a lot more. I've been diving into David Johnson's Lightroom videos, especially his breakdown on editing tones and colors. His teaching style is super approachable, and it actually gave me a few new tricks I used for this video. It's kind of like having someone sit next to you while you figure it all out, minus the judgment. All skill levels invited. I think next I actually might check out Mr. Kennedy and his coastal beach photography tips to get me into some vacation vibes. As a member, you don't just get access to tutorials, you also get live events and a full photo community, and new content every month to keep you inspired. The best part is for new members only, but the first 1,000 people of you to click the link in the description get a full year's premium membership for just $1.49. That's like 1/3 of a roll of Portra 400. So check out that link below, join the community, and level up your outdoor photography. I have to say, just chilling, sitting in my car with some thoughts. The minimal dials are fantastic. This go around, I actually was shooting a little bit more automatic. I was switching around ISOs depending, and so it's nice that you can kind of, you know, choose whenever you want. New world. I don't even know who I am anymore. Shooting megapixels? Have I turned into a completely different human being? I don't know. All I know is, damn, this thing's hot.
Yeah, no, just give me a second, guys. What is this? Guys, what's going on?
Come, sit down. We all have something to say.
Okay. I think I know what this is, guys. And I promise you, I am the same person. And technically, just because this has a few megapixels.
A few? Come on. And that's 60.
I'm the same.
First it was the monochrome, and now this.
Hey, that's not fair.
Not to mention, I have seen a GR around here.
Guys, really?
Sorry, mate. She has to go, or we do.
Can I at least have one last shoot with her?
Now, once I got the blessing from the rest of the camera collection, I decided to do what I do best, shoot some abandoned locations. I feel at home amongst the mold and the asbestos. Damn, am I gonna die young? Well, okay, that's a bummer. So the first location that I was going to come to today is well, no longer a thing. So there's that. I will now pull over and figure out what I'm going to do next. Now let's get this out of the way. Regardless on how you feel about Leica cameras in general, you have to admit they are sexy as hell. And this M11-D takes the cake home and eats the whole thing in one sitting. However, I get it. This camera is not for everyone. I guess the same thing can be said for Leica in general. I just so happen to love the Rangefinder system. But let's forget about that price for a second, even if it takes severing your brain. This camera really only gives you quick access to shutter, ISO, aperture, and exposure compensation. That really forces you to get that film feel quick. So if you might be itching from the lack of buttons and dials that this camera doesn't have, then baby, this might not be your jam, fam. At the end of the day, I feel like this camera is a set it and forget it type of tool, which really I feel quite at home with. I mean, come on, we shoot film.
Okay.
Your destination is on the left.
Yeah, I know. I can see that.
But don't let this fairly simplistic body fool you, because inside does house a bunch of tech. The best place for you to switch your camera settings is through the Leica app on your phone. Today, I'll be shooting the same focal length, but in different flavors. An older LTM-35 and a crispy 50 Cron. I must admit that LTM lens gave the 35mm images a nice, soft, pleasing quality to them overall. So yeah, there is a very small button on the top of this camera that does do some stuff too, plus a jog wheel and a wheel press. That small button is actually cumbersome, and I'm just impatient, and frankly, a little dumb sometimes. Once you're connected to the Leica app, you can change things like your white balance, your sensor resolution, your Tinder profile, you can even upload your bank checks, and it does have a live mode for some reason if you really need it when shooting a camera that intentionally does not have a screen. The other two big pluses of this camera is USB charging and a 256GB of internal storage. Both those things, mwah, mwah, mwah.
Ooh, someone got rid of a nice hot tub. How dare you?
Now that I can see in, I think I'm gonna go kind of wide with it and put my 15 mil on.
However, this day I decided to really lean into the whole film feel. I loaded up a roll of Lomo 800 and stuck to that one stock, aka ISO. I basically set the ISO to just 800.
There's graffiti everywhere. You have to lean in. You know, you have to really just go for it. And hopefully there's no wee-wees around.
Now let's talk about the big downsides of this camera. The first one being, come on, you know it, the price. In today's economy, no, sorry, doesn't matter the economy. That price is just wild. I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm just saying I just can't afford it. That price tag is equivalent to 500 rolls of film for me, or even 10 years worth of shooting. The really cool thing about that last shot, I
Turn right
hope,
onto 90th Street East.
is that the light was coming through these.
In 1,000 feet.
I
turn
get it,
left
I
onto
get
East
it, I
Avenue
get it,
East.
I get it. So the light was coming through these like window slats, and so they were making patterns on the back wall. So hopefully that looks cool as well. But it was time for me to head further west as the sun was starting to dip behind a lame sheet of cloud. 2 more locations to go this evening.
Try as you may, sometimes it just doesn't work out for you. So I'm at my second bust for the day, third location. Those aren't good odds today. Apparently right here, here, let me show you. Right here on the map, there's a pin. It doesn't exist anymore. It's not there. So
But now that we are all full circle on this handsome devil, let's just chat about our options here. I've shot the M11 in the past, and I didn't quite know how to color correct the files. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think I know what I'm doing. Finally. The files were wonderful, and I really liked a lot of the shots that I got with this camera, and I was able to find the right fit for that workflow. The M11-D is lovely. I absolutely adored every minute that I had with that camera, and that's hard for me to say when shooting digital. Usually I can't even get behind those pickles. Now on the way back, I just couldn't help but think to myself about shooting this camera. I kind of hated that I loved it so much. For me, it was kind of like shooting my M6, but with the luxury of knowing that I could take doubles without ruining or wasting a stash of film. The body is refined and the shutter is super clicky. And at this point, I started to find a way to make my digital images semi-close to what I like in my film images. One thing I love about film is that it makes me earn my images. I have to work for it. And this M11-D definitely does that. It forces me into decisions at the moment. It's also bare bones. I shot a K3 monochrome a while back and really liked it, but damn, does that camera just have buttons for days. This M11-D is slick and understated. Unfortunately, I need my car. I can't justify walking around everywhere here in Southern California. Everything's way too spread out. Plus, I really don't like instant ramen and I need substance, so I kind of need to eat. But I'll just say it now. I'm not above hardcore groveling, so if Leica's listening, that's enough kiss-assing for me today. Thank you, Leica, for sending me this loaner, and maybe someday I'll be able to see her again. But fear not, I always have my main squeeze.
That's right, boo. I got you.